use this one for the salmon. I'm going to put this in here. This one for green beans. Can you hand me the green beans out of the freezer? Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. This is our second cooking lesson. Today we're going to do sauteed green beans and bourbon pecan salmon. So if you're cooking along with me, I have all my ingredients. I have pepper, crushed red pepper flakes, garlic powder, seasoned salt, a little chicken broth, onions, Parmesan cheese, and you can either use butter or garlic herb butter and some minced garlic. Also, I have some bouillon granules. So to start off, you remember last time I cooked, I said I cook in layers, I season in layers. So that's what we're going to do now is season in layers. So I'm going to start off with my butter. And put a little olive oil with that, and that way it'll keep the butter from burning. Let's see. Okay, so once this starts to melt, I'm going to add my onions, and some minced garlic, about maybe a teaspoon of minced garlic, and we're going to start seasoning in our layers. So I'm going to season that with a little seasoning salt, little garlic powder, little pepper, and a little crushed red pepper flakes. And you just want to kind of sweat these a little bit, get them a little soft. Right, now we're going to add our green beans. So I've taken my green beans. And remember I said I was going to season. I season in layers. So season it with seasoned salt. And I have about a tablespoon of seasoning salt. Garlic powder, same, about a tablespoon, because I have 2 bags of frozen green beans. If you have canned green beans, you can do that with canned, just drain the juice off. A little bit of crushed red pepper. Little black pepper. And some chicken granules. Be careful when you use chicken granules and seasoning salt. Don't use too much of the seasoning salt because this is already salty enough. So we're going to add a little bit of broth to this to keep it from burning and make some steam. And that's about 1/4 cup. Put a lid on it. Turn that away from me so I don't knock it over. And we're gonna start the salmon. So on the salmon,
Hey, what's for dinner?
hey, child, we're gonna have some sauteed green beans, some bourbon pecan salmon,
Hey, all right.
and some rice if you wouldn't mind making it for me.
Yeah, I can do that. What you need me to do?
I just need you, I got the water boiling, just put some rice in the pot.
All right, I can do that.
Thank you. So, getting back to the bourbon pecan salmon, so you're gonna take butter. You do 1 tablespoon for each fillet that you have. And we're gonna let that melt. Hey David, can you hand me the salmon out of the refrigerator before you do that, please? So gonna let your butter melt.
There you go.
Thank you, hon. So let's talk about salmon. So salmon is full of omega-3, which is a heart health oil. Also, when you go to the store to buy salmon, you want to make sure that you don't have any brown edges on it. You want to make sure that it's firm to touch, no smells or anything like that. If it does, the salmon is not any good. You can have a little brown on it, but if it has an odor to it, it's no good. Don't eat it. So we're going to melt the butter. So I have because I have 5 pieces of salmon that I'm cooking, I have about maybe 1.25 cups or 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. So my butter is melted. Take my brown sugar, put it in the pan, and stir it. You want to make sure that the brown sugar is mixed in well with the butter. Doing that and getting hot, let's check on our green beans. What I'm doing is just tossing them, getting the garlic and the onions. So at this point, if you feel that they're not seasoned enough for you, go ahead and add a little bit more seasonings. I think we can add a little bit more seasoned salt. We have enough garlic. All right, so I'm going to turn this down. All right, now when you're working with butter and brown sugar, you want to make sure that you don't turn it into candy. So now we're going to take our pecans, and I have about maybe 1 cup of chopped pecans, and I'm mixing it up with my brown sugar and my butter. And now I'm going to take my salmon fillet, put it on top. All right, we're gonna let this cook on this side for about 3 to 4 minutes. For those of you who are cooking with me, please, after we're done, take a picture after you plate and share it on my group page. All right. So when I turn this, I'm going to try to get some of the pecans with this. It's not ready yet. So we'll let it go a little bit longer. Put the lid on it for a little bit. Speed it up some with steam help. Okay, it's starting to burn, so I can smell so we flip it. All right, and we're going to let this cook on this side. So what I'm going to do now is I have bourbon. So I'm going to pour my bourbon all over the salmon. I'm going to cover it up, and I'm going to let this cook for another about 4 or 5 minutes. And then I'll continue to try to spoon up some of that on top of my salmon, some of this juice with the nuts.
Smelling good. How's it coming?
Good, good.
Oh, yeah. All right, I'm going to work past you because I'm still trying to do my rice. I'm good. I'm good.
You go ahead, boo. Let's check our green beans. All right, so our green beans are done. So depending on how tender you like your green beans, some people like them real soft, some like them kind of firm. This is done. So what I do now for my finishing touch is I have 2 types of Parmesan cheese. You can use one or you can use both types if you have it. I have some fresh Parmesan cheese, and I just take it and sprinkle it over top of the green beans. And then here's the grated kind that's in the little container. Can you get a close-up of this, please? And I'm going to put the lid on, turn my fire off, and that's our salmon. So we're going to let this cook for probably another Couple of minutes. Usually, the bourbon pecan salmon usually only takes about a total of 12 to 14 minutes to cook. So if you've cooked your rice ahead of time, you made the green beans with me, and the bourbon pecan salmon, you've just made your dinner in less than 30 minutes. Can you put some on a plate for me, please?
Yes, ma'am.
He's such a good helper. This is how we spice it up in the kitchen. All right,
There you
so. Let's take this piece. It doesn't want to cooperate. Right, and we'll take some green beans. Heard that. All right, and there you have it. Dinner. Bon appetit. Thanks. Join me next time.
It said end.